Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over the water to Copenhagen in Denmark once again, and we're going to revisit one of my favourite breweries here in Scandinavia, and this was one of the beers of course that they released in the Mobster series for their 10th anniversary. So we're going to return to Amager Bryghus once again of course, and this one is the Marianna The Moody MILF, which is described as a pale barley wine. It comes in at 10% ABV. This one uses a UK ale yeast strain, so I suspect that it will be a little bit more like an English style barley wine. But yeah, we know that Amager do some really nice beers. I've had very good experiences with these guys in the past. Quite a fan of this brewery, I have to admit. So very interested to try this one and see how we get on with it. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer, and as always you can check out my other Amager reviews as well. This must be review number 23 or 24 or something crazy like that. I've reviewed quite a few of their beers. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Amager before. No doubt there will be more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Danish beers that I've reviewed for you. Denmark is a very good beer country these days, so make sure you check out some of their beers. But as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, tell you a little bit about Amager Bryghus once again then. So Amager Bryghus, as I've told you before, are based in Kastrup in Copenhagen in Denmark, and these guys are probably one of the best known Danish craft breweries outside the likes of Toasty and Mikkeller. I think they might well be the biggest craft brewery in Denmark, out with or the biggest craft brewer in Denmark who actually produced their beers in the country. But the brewery was established back in 2007 by two friends. This is Morten Valentin Lundsbach and Jakob Storm, and both of these guys were really quite avid home brewers. But apparently in school they were forced to do a chemistry and physics project together. So they wrote about the fermentation process that went on with beers, and that was then hooked for the rest of their lives. But both gained their brewing diplomas from the Scandinavian Brewing School in 2008, and the brewery has since gone on to become very highly decorated. I think in 2012 they won one of the awards for. They won a really high award from Rate Beer. I forget which one exactly it was, but these guys are a very highly decorated brewery. They brew a lot of IPAs and things like that, so if you love big hoppy bitter beers, then this is a brewery you definitely want to check out. But that said, their stouts and imperial porters and stuff like that, all the darker beers I've tried from these guys have been pretty nice as well, but they do tend to lean more towards brewing IPAs and stuff like that. But their first brewery, as I mentioned, is in Tornby in the southern part of the city, and they've constantly been expanding, and they're actually just about to open up a new brewery closer to the airport. So many exciting times ahead for these guys. They are going to expand their capacity, so hopefully that means that some of you guys watching in America and Australia and places like that will start to find the Amager beers more easily, because yeah, they're a really good brewery, one of the best you're going to find in Scandinavia at the moment. So if you do come across their beers, I highly recommend you check them out. Some of my personal favourites are probably the Amager Batch 1000 and also the Herr Fredriksson. Those are probably my two favourite beers I've tried from these guys so far, so definitely make sure you check them out. But let's get on into the tasting section of this video anyway. So yeah, as I mentioned to you, this one is a 10% barley wine. It doesn't tell you, it just has Columbus hops from America in this one, and it has a UK ale yeast. It's pale malt that's in this, so it's quite a simple barley wine, but they've just kind of beefed it up, I guess, a little bit. So it says on the side here, Marianna Dodano was fed up with hardly seeing her husband Dario after he became the undisputed boss of the Chicago outfit, the most notorious mafia syndicate in the city, fed up with the unsafety that came with being a mobster's wife, but perhaps most of all fed up with the fact that her beloved mint juleps, after 5 years of prohibition, tasted like toxic waste since horrible Indiana moonshine had replaced proper Old Dominion sour mash. No wonder that her mood was often clouded with only her furry crossbreed Buzz, named after her favourite vibrator, bringing a little joy. Her husband Dario, still very much in love with his wife, felt miserable about the whole situation. He was determined to utilise his new secret hobby as a home brewer to bring some joy back into his wife's life. Mobster boss in the daytime, home brewer at night, Dario used more than 6 months to develop a beer so good that he was convinced it would make Marianna forget all about her mint juleps, and he was right. When he served the final version of his immensely strong pale barley wine named in his wife's honour, Marianna first blushed, then coughed, and finally she smiled. For the first first time in years they shared their bedroom that night. Years later, Marianna The Moody MILF would be a staple brand in Dario Dodana and Dadolnikov Brewing Company, Chicago's first craft brewery. Enjoy. So yeah, nicely presented. As you can see, there is the standard Amager artwork on this one. I really like the artwork that these guys put into it, and you can see there's the special thing at the bottom here, Amager Bryghus 10th anniversary 2007 to 2017. So there you can see Amager Bryghus bottle cap on this one as well. But yeah, batch number 1556, best before March 2022. So yeah, I could have aged this one a little bit, but you know, I did want to try. I let it mellow out just a little bit, but I guess, you know, it should be nice as it is. So without further ado, we'll get this guy open and get on with the tasting. And I tell you right away, it really does, it smells like an English beer. You can smell the notes off this one from the English yeast. You get that nice bready character out of it right away. But yeah, look at that. That's a nice looking beer. It actually looks kind of just like a double IPA or something like that. Usually barley wines, in my experience, are really nice and dark. This one's a little bit lighter than a lot of the ones I've come across. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that is a nice kind of blood orange colour, this one. It looks really nice. As you can see, if I put my fingers behind the glass, it is actually, it's not really that transparent at all. There is a little bit of transparency to it, but mainly it's quite opaque. There's a few little bits of sediment floating around in this one. There is sediment visible at the bottom of the bottle, which is why I didn't pour all of it, and plus it wouldn't fit. But yeah, there's a nice thin layer of a kind of frothy, creamy colour head. It's very slightly beige actually, this one, but there's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and quite a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall it looks nice, as I say, just a little bit lighter than I would normally expect from a barley wine, but very, very nice looking beer nonetheless. So without further ado, let's check out the aroma then. Oh yeah, this is a big malty beast, this one. Yeah, there's a lot of caramel in here, a lot of kind of toasted brown sugars and things, which is what you'd expect. It's a little bit biscuity. It's got the lighter, kind of sweeter caramel to it. You can smell some of the slightly darker sort of treacle or molasses, as the Americans would call it. You can smell a little bit of that in here, but the brown sugars for me lean towards being more toasted, and you can smell the booze on this one. It does smell really quite boozy, but at 10% you would expect a little bit of that. But it is quite apparent in this one. There's a little bit of kind of almost earthy character from the hops. You can smell a little bit of that kind of floral aromaticity, which is what you're going to expect from the American Columbus. And there's a bit of breadiness as well. I mean, that's what you're going to get when you use sort of an English ale yeast strain in this one, or UK ale yeast as they've called it. I'm not sure about the exact names of the yeasts, of course, and what the differences are. But they said UK ale yeast for this one. But yeah, it smells nice. It really is quite a nice smelling beer, this, but very boozy. If you like a big malty aroma, then you're certainly going to enjoy this one. There's a good bit of red fruit in here as well. I'm picking up some kind of raisins and plums. It's got a little bit of sharper character to it, I would say. One thing I should maybe point out about this beer too is that when I checked it out on Rate Beer, it's actually one of the lower rated ones I've come across from Amager before. It only got like a 46 or something on Rate Beer, which is kind of surprising when you consider the standard of a lot of their beers. But you should, you know, as I always say, go into it with an open mind, and beer is always subjective. People enjoy different things. But yeah, to me it smells nice. I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, without further ado, let's get stuck into this then. So this one is the Marianna The Moody MILF from Amager Bryghus, part of their 10th anniversary Mobster series from Kastrup in Copenhagen. Skål. That's nice. I do like that. Yeah, to me, it really is more of a malty leaning barley wine. I mean, they've gone for something a little bit different. As I said before, Amager are really known for their big kind of hop forward beers. To me, this one kind of goes in a different direction. This is definitely leaning more towards the kind of malty side of things. But as I always say, sugar the beer around your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust to this one. I think this one will mellow out really nicely if you give it a few years aging, so I might buy another one of these and just let it age out a little bit more and see how it's changed. but this is, even as it is, I actually like it. I do like it. So it leans more towards the kind of English style of barley wine for me. It doesn't quite have the same fruitiness that I would associate with the American one, and also you can tell from the sort of yeasty flavours that are in there in the malt, like mixing in with the malt base as well. It really is more of an English barley wine than an American one, I would say. There is a nice little bit of hoppy character to it. It's got that nice kind of floral aromaticity that you'd expect of the Columbus hop. But to me, just the way the malt base comes out, it really fits better into the English barley wine category, in my opinion at least. But yeah, the malt base has got quite a bit of stuff going on. You can feel that kind of pale malty character just blanket in the middle of the tongue. On top of that, to me it feels a little bit kind of... it actually feels really quite bready. It's got this almost kind of brown bready character in there just sitting on top of it. That'll be from the yeast, of course, because I think they said they only used pale malt in this, but there's a lot of kind of caramelly and slightly biscuity flavours coming off. You'll feel the rich caramel right in the middle of your tongue, these lighter sort of biscuity and almost kind of grainy notes coming out of the beer as well. But this is nice. I do like this. I don't understand why it got kind of such a low rating, but then again, I guess, you know, Rate Beer is of course an American dominated site, but then again, not so many Americans are going to try this beer, and probably the American style of barley wine is a little bit more popular than the English one these days. But you know, they've done a nice job with it. I think it's different from what they've done, and I mean, for these guys to brew the same beers kind of over and over and things like that, it must be boring for them. So you do want them to try something a little bit different. But I can feel it as my palate adjusts more and more to this beer. I'm getting a little bit more sweetness and things out of it, more of these biscuity characters and more of that big kind of boozy caramel character that the beer has. It has got a little bit of darkness to it. It tastes, the middle of your palate, you'll notice quite a lot of toasted caramel character in there, which is quite nice. And it's interesting how that comes out, because as I say, I'm pretty sure they only used pale malt in this one. But for me, they've done a nice job in this. I can't understand why this one is rated quite as low as it is. But it's nice, to me, I like it. The hoppy side of things is quite interesting for me. I'm getting a little tiny bit of earthiness in the back corner of the tongue, but that's quite minimal. That's not something you would normally find from the Columbus hop, of course. But as you come further forward, you can feel the sort of floral character just on the very edges of your tongue. There's a little bit of dryness in the beer, and it comes out a little bit more as you move further and further into the aftertaste. But it's almost a little bit, there's a very slight spicy character to it as well, and as you go round the front curve of your palate, it's a bit lighter and a bit more grassy. And I do like how the almost earthy elements can emerge with that nice sort of floral grassy character in the beer as well. To me, it's a nice. I like the way that this beer comes across, and it is a different change of pace, or a change of pace from what Amager normally do. This is the first barley wine I'm trying from these guys, of course, so I maybe need to see if they've got some other ones that I can try from comparison. But I like how this beer comes across. For me, they've done a good job with it. If you just go behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you're going to find these the nice little oily bubble where the fruity flavours come out. For me, I can pick up a little bit of a slightly grapefruity character, which is a signature of the Columbus, but that's quite mild. When you go beyond that, that's when you start to get these red fruity esters that come out. And for me, this one, it has a little bit of that kind of candied red fruit thing. You know, it reminds me of these little Haribo-shaped these little heart-shaped sweets in the Haribo Star Mix. It's got that almost kind of candied red fruit thing going on in it. Yeah, but at the other end, it does have a little bit of that. It does have a little bit of that sort of sharp, red fruity character as well. It's got a little bit of that kind of raisin or plum sort of thing going on as well, which is quite interesting. But this is a big boozy barley wine. It is one of the ones that you can feel the sort of booziness in it, and I guess that's maybe one of the reasons why the American barley wines are a little bit more popular than the English ones. I always find the English barley wine style is a little bit boozier, and you can feel it then in comparison with the American version of the style. But to me, this is a nice beer. I would drink this one again. What I would want to do though is I would get a bottle of this and maybe age it for a year or so. I'm not sure how long this one has been in the bottle, but I have cellared it for maybe 2 months or so, and I think they've probably made this one about 3 months or so before I actually bought it. So it maybe is about 6 months old. Maybe it needs an extra couple of months or 2 years or so. I heard from somebody that keeping barley wines 2 years is the optimum time. So maybe I'll buy another one of these, just let it age, and do another review for you somewhere down the line. But as it is, it's a nice beer. But if you like the English style of barley wine, this one is going to suit you down to the ground. If you're more into the American style of barley wine, this is one that maybe you're not going to enjoy so much in that regard, because it's bigger and boozier, and the elements that you get out of the yeast in this one are a little bit more leaning towards that English version of the style. But to me, I like it. But I like most beers, of course. But yeah, really another interesting beer from Amager, and it's good to try one that's a little bit different from what you'd normally expect. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this guy, it's pretty full-bodied. It's got a big oily mouthfeel, this one. Yeah, it's a big oily mouthfeel to this beer. The carbonation is very, very smooth. Put the last little bit of the sediment in there. It's actually cleared out quite well, to be honest. But yeah, it's got a big oily mouthfeel, this one. The carbonation is quite smooth. There's a little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one, like I was saying. It does give you a little bit of dryness as you move into the aftertaste. There's a good element of kind of malty sweetness in there as well, which is interesting, because like I said, it does only say on the side here that they've used pale malt in this, which is quite impressive. So a lot of the flavours in this one, I guess, will be coming from the yeast, but to me it comes across nicely. A little bit of hoppy bitterness, a good bit of almost malty or yeasty sweetness, I guess, in this case, and there's a little bit of red kind of juicy fruit character as well. But for me, it's definitely interesting to try something that is a complete change of pace from what you'd normally expect from Amager, and it does show you that they've got diversity to their brewing. So yeah, it's been an interesting beer to try, and I do like that when a brewery you're very familiar with does something that's just completely different from what they normally do. So yeah, Marianna The Moody MILF, definitely an English style barley wine in my mind, from Amager Bryghus in Kastrup in Copenhagen. If you get the chance to try this one, I recommend that you do, but just bear in mind it definitely is an English style barley wine rather than an American one. So maybe age this one. If you buy this, age it for about a year or maybe 2 years before you try it. But even as it is quite nice. If you're curious about it, you certainly will, I think, have a good time with this if you enjoy the English barley wine style. So yeah, it's been really cool to review this one for you. Thank you once again for watching my beer reviews. If you have tried this beer for yourself, please let me know your own thoughts on it in the comment section below. It's always interesting to hear from you guys. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do let me know your own thoughts on the beer, like I said, and let me know your favourite beers from Amager Bryghus as well. Make sure you check out all the usual social media, and I will see you guys very soon with more beer reviews. You will see me review the Cody at some point in the next few weeks as well, because I've got one of those sitting in my box to review later. And you will see more Amager beers, of course, in the future. So make sure you check out the Mobster series. There are more beers to come from that series in the near future, so I will see you when I review those. Until the next time, it's Slangy just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. If you enjoy an English barley wine, make sure you try this one. Cheers.